Hey crew, it's Ben, and I'm back with some more MBTI. Today we're going to be taking a little bit of a look inside the mind of Dr. Ron Paul. This is from the Patrick Bet David podcast over at Valuetainment, and we're going to be trying to figure out a little bit about how Dr. Ron Paul thinks. We do this so that we can identify things within ourselves and help us to identify things to improve within ourselves or things that are already one of our strengths. And so, not dropping the glasses is not one of my strengths. We do that through a system that I devised, and it is different from any way that you have seen MBTI done before. I have 5 things that I look for. They are 5 yes or no choices, A or B. You are focused on either things or ideas. That is either the things you can touch and into the past, or the things that you can't touch into the future. With those things, you are either gathering new ones or you are sorting through old ones. That's going to give us a P or a J. You're going to do that either for yourself or for the tribe. That's going to determine whether you are an I or an E in this system. You are going to be either rigidly trying to force your way or flexing around other people's thoughts and feelings. That's going to give you a T or an F, and you are either direct, give the information as quickly as possible, or informative and you like to take the long way around. That'll help determine whether the third slot is introverted or extroverted, and it makes a little bit of difference in how you process and deliver back the information. With all that being said, we're going to dive into the podcast. We are about 10 minutes in, I believe, and we've let him get comfortable in the situation. They're talking, they're getting along well. Pat is about to ask a question. Dr. Paul will answer, and we will take it from there. I said go.
So how much of the politics, when you look at the politics, and
Okay.
I see somebody talking, I say, okay, this person makes sense, what they're saying, but they're not a good salesperson. That person doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're a good salesperson. This person makes 0 sense, but they're a great salesperson and they know how to play the game of politics. How important is selling and learning how to play the game of politics, of pinning against each other and not taking a lot personally? I mean, I see that being a big strength of Trump. How big of an influence do you think those 2 other parts are as well?
Well, I guess it's what your goal in life is. You know, if your goal in life is to be a congressman, you do things completely different than what I did. Young people now, when I go to the college campuses, they'll come up and they say, "You don't understand what you're saying. What am I supposed?"
A goal in life is leaning towards an idea, right? We're looking for descriptors of that to see a little bit more.
Go to the college campuses, they'll come up and they say, "You don't understand what you're saying. What am I supposed to do? And you know, how can I go to medical school and then go to Congress and all that stuff?" I said, if that's your goal, forget it. That shouldn't be your goal. You know, it's back to education. I don't believe the politicians who make these plans and lay the plans and join the parties and become a precinct worker and work your way up and learn how to raise money and go to the professionals.
You're not a fan of it.
That's tribe pushback, right? He's listing off all the things that the tribe does that he don't like. That is tribe pushback.
That you're the fan
No,
of
I
the
think
inspiration
that's the way it's done. I think it's wrong, and that's why the wrong
it.
people go. I think it also ought to be more issue-oriented. So if somebody comes up, I don't like the demagogues, the noisy stuff, but if somebody comes up and they're very serious and they say, "Ron, I disagree with you because I'm a socialist," and we can. One person that was close to that was Barney Frank. Barney Frank and I got along real.
Okay, so we're getting an actual example of a thing that happened in the past, right? This is an actual event that has happened. That's going to give us things and possibly sorting, but he could be bringing a new experience with the thing.
Well, and we had a lot of disagreement, but we had a lot of agreements because he was a progressive. We'd agree on civil liberties, and we did legislation on drugs, how we regulate that, and some on foreign policy. It was the legislation on, he was a progressive. We'd agree on civil liberties, and we did legislation on drugs, how we regulate that, and some on foreign policy.
We got lists, right? This is a list of things that have happened. That's leaning me towards organized things.
It was the issues that counted more than anything else, but I think most people go in because they want to be a congressman.
But then again, that's ideas, right?
Anything else, and some on foreign policy. It was the issues that counted more than anything else.
So that could be the ideas, right? But it seems more at this point that we are leaning more towards things because it is past experiences that have happened, but that is evidentiary, right? So he could be very good at organizing those. So this could be a NESI type of situation. So we keeping an open mind for the moment.
But I think most people go in because they want to be a congressman. I think you should want to change people's views. To me, that's the only.
He does seem quite informative, right? He is not trying to halt his own speech. He is telling the story and some. That leans more towards informative.
thing that counts. The
Converting.
government that we have is a reflection of the prevailing attitudes of the people.
The thing that counts is the government we have is because of the people, right? The prevailing attitudes of the people. So that is tribe pushback, and it is very much this one particular thing. Right? The problem we have.
The
Converting.
government that we have is a reflection of the prevailing attitudes of the people. So I'm more interested in changing the attitudes of the people and understanding why
Tribe
liberty
pushback.
can be defended.
Right? That's what I'm trying to be the best I can be in order to raise everybody up. That is, I'm trying to make everybody the best they can so we all raise up and I don't drown. That is tribe oriented versus self.
Then rather than saying, oh, I need help, I might be out of work. And people are.
His ability to work with the other senators, I didn't talk about it and I thought about it, but that leans me towards flexibility. The ability to flex around the ideas of socialism as a astute, very much capitalist, lends me towards flexibility to a great degree.
Poor in this country, and this is why we need authoritarians to go to Washington, take money from this group and take care of everybody else and teach you what your personal habits ought to be.
And there, again, we're talking about other people. We're not talking about him. We're talking about other people. Tribe.
I just refuse to accept that approach.
But do you really believe liberty is possible today?
And I mean, it comes back to him, right? But it's about the tribe, right? All of these people are doing all of these things, and that is the problem. And it's not I'm going to fix the situation with me for them. It's I'm going to fix them for me. That's tribe versus, yeah.
And here's what I mean by liberty. There's two different ways, right? One of them is conceptually. So it's good for us to keep talking about it because at least the right concepts will stick. But will we ever have full liberty? We'll probably, guys, let's face it, we're never going to have it, but let's keep talking about all this other stuff. Are you coming from a place stuff out of? No, I fully believe liberty is possible in America.
Oh, yeah, well, liberty is to some degree, but perfect liberty. I mean, mankind is not perfect. So
Nailing down that idea, whew,
So define liberty. What is liberty? And
like getting it defined into a past thing, right? Taking that idea and turning it into the thing is where he breaks down on that.
libertarian mean?
Because, I mean, absolute liberty is individual liberty, and then you're always going to have conflict between two people.
To you? I'm curious.
So it to me is one thing on that subject of perfect liberty versus perfect communism. It just doesn't exist. But the goal should be liberty. So for me to pursue what I have been doing for these many decades is that I have to have a definition. What do you mean by liberty? Why is it important to you? Is this a
Give me a list of things, right? Wait, well,
that I have to have a definition? What do you mean by liberty? Why is it important to you? Is this a social belief, an economic belief, or a religious belief, or what is it? I've come to the conclusion.
that's a list, but is that a list of things or ideas? This is the list of things that you can actually do, but it's the ideas of them. So I don't know that you can really make the determination there, but it lends towards the organization either way, right? He's repeatedly bringing out lists, and he's repeatedly bringing out historical facts, things that have happened. So that is lending me towards the SI part of it. The NI tends to forget the stats and the sources more than the SI does.
conclusion that the most important issue or rule that should guide our lives is something that has been universal. And I think we're making progress. Matter of fact, I think that we can do a lot better, and we're in a movement. There's a lot of reasons why I'm an optimist, but it's based on a concept.
That was a lot of idea, right? That was a lot of feedback into the tribe, the reason. And the feedback into the tribe was a lot of ideas.
I aggression. You can't commit aggression. And it's very
I'm
simply,
very much on the non-aggression principle.
don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't hurt people, and don't kill people. But all the great religions endorse these things.
That's another very much not this idea, but all the ideas.
If everybody did that, can you imagine how much more peaceful
And what would it be like if the tribe did that?
the world would be? But man is fragile, and mankind is, they're not perfect, so they will always get away from that. But the big question is do you want the authoritarian government, people who want to be in control, send them to Washington to make sure that you're a better person? That doesn't work, because then the monopoly use of aggression and control is given to the government, and the rule that...
Have you considered these ideas, right? That's what this is breaking down to. He's not listing things, right? He's very much worked up about this. He's very much invested in this, and this is very much him trying to make sure you understand all of these ideas, right? That's lending me again towards the NESI matrix.
follows this is if you and I have disagreement,
And maybe a little bit more even towards the ideas.
okay, I agree with you, Ron. I'm not going to steal from you, and I'm not going to hurt you, I'm not going to kill you, and all these things. But all of a sudden, government's exempt from these rules. The government lies to us, they cheat, they counterfeit the money. We go off around the world, we're going to police the world, we kill people, we drop a bomb every 12 minutes, right?
And say, here's the list of specific things, right?
Now on foreign. It's just totally out of control because the government
We had a list of all these ideas, and this is the list of specific things.
don't obey the rules. But people don't address that. They keep saying, put me in office. I'm a dedicated right-winger, and I want to be in there and have my rules. Or somebody else comes and goes, no, I'm compassionate, and I will steal the money from this group and give it to this group, and I will create perfect equality for everybody. Well, they ought to think about equality in the justice system.
They ought to think. It's a repeated pattern of tribe, right? Tribe is pretty clear. We've got a good, informative vibe going on. He is not shy about chasing a rabbit hole. And so that part of the matrix is pretty good. He's very flexible. We're good on that. He's very organized. The hard part is determining whether he has ideas or things. And we're not really getting the things as much as the ideas. And the things that we are getting could be ideas. So that's going to lean me more towards that, right? I was thinking more of it definitely feels like, it feels like he's getting all the ideas, though, right? He's not sorting them into the best one except for the one. And now that's a one box, but he's not going back and talking about the one box, right? He's bringing a bunch of ideas in support of what he thinks is the best thing. I think that's important to make the distinction there is that all of these ideas, right, are coming in for the best thing. And now these are very good ideas, but they're not necessarily the best ideas. He is more of a consider all of these ideas and let's invest them into this one thing. And the one thing is capitalism, right? Unrestricted capitalism for the most part. And so that is leading me towards ideas. That is leading me towards new ideas. It is leading me towards tribe. It is leading me towards flexible. So we have ideas, tribe, old, or new and flexible. So that's an ENFP. Let me go ahead and pull up the ENFP tab really quickly. I would love to say that I would cut this part out for you, but I'll forget. Y'all know that. And so we've got the ENFP here. And the determining factor for the direct and informative is whether or not the third slot down is going to be introverted or extroverted. It makes a little bit of difference in how you process the stack, right? Everybody uses the whole stack. You just use it to different degrees of effectiveness. And so it's going to make a little bit of determination about where you're going to get a little defensive or the things that you're going to misunderstand. Uh, and for him, he is informative. That means he is extroverted in that slot, and so he is going to be a straight up ENFP. He's going to be very concerned about the future possibilities. He is going to see future possibilities without even really thinking about it. It is very much concerned about foresight into the future. Making sure that we see all the dangers. That is the evolutionary imperative that drives this part of the function. And then he's going to feel responsible for making sure that the morals that he holds are guiding those possibilities. That fits fairly well from what we have seen, and we'll do a short confirmation after this. But he's going to be defensive about other people's thoughts. And if we did not see that, we did not see anything. The whole thing about his tribe is being defensive about other people's thoughts, right? That's very much his defensive spot. And that is very much how he seems to appear. His throat, what he is going to miscommunicate or not communicate well, is going to be the organization, the specific things that have happened in the past. He does that fairly well. He is well matured in his years, and he's probably had a little bit of burn on the backside to make sure that he can do that. But I cannot say that. This is not a diagnosis, right? We're not talking about specifics. We're just getting generalities and the tendencies that seem to manifest. Then we're going to get into the things that are going to, like, the thing in your heart is what really you want to do more than anything. It's the area of creation. It's where manifestation springs forth from. And for him, that is going to be the best possibility. Now, his best thing and his best possibility align very closely, right? He has spent his life dedicated to making sure people see the best possibility. And he's really good at getting the tribe feedback. So, he is good at flexing around them too, right? His morals, he is pushing his morals on other people, but he does it in a way that is acceptable because it's his responsibility. So he's a little bit better at it. His future feelings and ethics are going to be the solar plexus, right? So how other people act is what's going to feed him giving the best possibility out. That's how the solar plexus heart connection works. You feed it with the function, which for him is other people's feelings, FE, and it feeds your heart, and then it allows you to manifest what you would most like in your life, and that is the NI for him. What's going to trip him up? What are the things that are going to cause problems in his life? Logical consistency is going to be one of the two main things that's really going to get him. Making sure that his yes-no checks are correct, making sure that he is actually looking at the correct evidence and logic checking it, basically. Personal thoughts and logic is the TI. It is how I think as opposed to how other people think with the TE. He's not going to get a lot of good reception here. It's going to be a lot of negative feedback in the logic. So there is a tendency to get stuck towards the bottom. And the thing that is really going to trip him up, that he is just going to overlook and do wrong, is going to be the physical things, right? The actual execution of the thing. Capitalism is a great idea. It works wonders. I love it. But unchecked, it can be pretty bad. And so that would be the actual execution of his idea, right? Unchecked capitalism, complete monopolies is the end result of that. This appears to fit. We are going to keep it up. We're going to check and see if we can get some confirmations. We'll be looking to make sure he is looking for many possibilities. We will be making sure that he is standing in his morals, that he is pushing back against the tribe's thoughts, and that he might have a little bit miscommunication problem with the SI. Now, he is giving us lists. He went through med school. You have to learn to manage your SI in med school, or else you don't graduate. So he is very healthy in that. So he reflexively is bringing these lists forward, right? He is listing the causalities when he brings forward the idea. That is because he has learned to do that. Let's dig in just to confirm before we wrap up. Let's go.
Is what they ought to concentrate on. But I think the government always reflects the prevailing attitude of the people, and therefore politicians have a lot to
Pushing
say
back
about that.
against
They're
Tribe's
very
thoughts.
unimportant. They're very, very unimportant.
Politicians are very unimportant.
Very unimportant overall long term. Mises is more important and nobody's ever heard of him. But if you want to move to a freer economy and understand that, for instance, right now we're being challenged with this notion of tariffs. I'm really pretty shocked about the support tariffs are getting, but it's a misunderstanding
That's coming back.
of economic policy. But the prevailing attitude should be that people have a right to buy and sell their goods and services, and that is what free markets teach. But the people get the government they deserve in many ways. Sometimes it's hard to get rid of a bad government, but
That's some tribe pushback. That is his morals, right? I happen to very much disagree with it because you have slave labor in large parts of the country, and having free trade with slave labor is completely immoral to me. Violates my ethics, or what I consider my tribe's ethics. We don't believe in slavery. So commencing in trade with slave people is a problem. I have no problem with tariffing them so that they get rid of their slaves. That's just me. So that is him imposing his morals, right? That is him being responsible for the direction of these ideas through his morals.
the government right now reflects a philosophy
Here
of
comes the list.
interventionism, a planned economy, inflationism, central banking, social welfare program, policing the world. You say, well,
There's a whole list, right? There's RSI pushing back, right? Here's so you can't say this.
that sounds like you're against the Democrat. Oh no, maybe you're against the Republican. They're
I'm against everybody's thoughts.
both the same. There's too much
You're saying
bipartisan.
Republicans and Democrats are the same.
In many ways,
In many ways.
philosophically, the basic philosophy is the same. They believe in intervention. They just
Here's their idea.
have different management styles. They might pick out, well, we want to redistribute the wealth. I want this group, you want this group. So, but they endorse interventionism. They endorse government power, and that's what has to be challenged.
I got a question for you then. So you ran in 1988 as a libertarian, right? In 08 and 2012, you ran as a Republican. Why didn't you run as a libertarian again in 08 and 2012 to change the game instead of running as a Republican yourself?
Well, a lot more people heard of me in 08 and 12 than they did in 1988.
So it was a marketing strategy that you
Yeah,
had
and
more
I'd
than
been in
anything else.
Congress, and parties mean very little to me. Even though I'm a lifetime member of the Libertarian Party, I've spent all my political career as a Republican. It doesn't matter.
The simpler it is, a concept. Like you look at Trump ran, Trump said what? Make America great again, right? It resonated, it was a simple campaign, and people were just fed up with politicians. When Obama ran, Obama was what? Dream or change, right? What are we changing? I don't know what we're changing.
Ideas versus things.
But we're changing. So voters are like, this is cool. Let's change. This is cool. Let's make America great again. Do you think partially the challenge with the libertarian concept is the fact that the message is being delivered by such super smart, intelligent guys like you, like Peter Schiff, like some of these guys that people are sitting there saying, it kind of makes sense, but man, I'm having a hard time understanding this. Talk to me as if I'm a sixth grade, level 4.
Okay,
Would
but
you
we're-
say that could be a reason?
Well, what I think you're not emphasizing is there's been tremendous change to get this message out. That was
I
true.
fully agree. Yeah,
But just
Don't forget about this.
think of the progress we've made, and you even mentioned it in the introduction. The internet helped me.
6 million in 24 hours.
It's fantastic. The people that you reach, you can change things because you're changing people's minds. But if you're saying, well, if you join the crowd and say, well,
Try pushback.
anybody but Trump, we got to get rid of this Trump, he's real evil, this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And that is all political chicanery. But it has to be philosophic, which is not easy. But
Bring in this idea instead.
that's where the progress is made.
That's how that function worked right there.
When I went to Washington in '76, nobody ever heard of Mises or the Federal Reserve needed auditing.
Right.
I mean, the early on, I live in a Bible Belt district, and I took a position on the drug war. No drug war. It's evil. It's monstrous. Prohibitions don't work. You can get rid of it. And I thought, well, there it goes. Bye. They're not going to reelect me now. And I thought that came up when I was out and went back in again. But they never held it.
And see, Eddie is very much about the tribe's ideas, about gathering the tribe's ideas, and his pushback is very much the tribe ideas. So he's gathering it and kicking it out like right away. It's really cool to watch. If you'd like to see the rest of this, the link is provided in the description box down below. I highly recommend that you do. Like, I voted for the man when he was running. I didn't vote for Obama. I voted Libertarian and Green Party. Oh, I agree with a lot that he says. I agree with a lot that he doesn't. But you should definitely be informed as to whether you agree with these ideas or not. He spent his lifetime bringing us new ideas, trying to show us new ways to think about things, and pushing back against other people's thoughts. It seems like a very good fit. Hopefully, I brought a little bit of enlightenment, and we can use this as an example for you to identify something that you see in yourself and figure out how you can change something that you don't like about yourself. This is not to change anyone. This is a toolbox, like a framework is what I like to call it, a way to build yourself up into the you that you want to be. You have the full capability to seize control of your greater purpose and to walk into the destiny that you were designed for. But you have to make the decision to do it. You have to commit yourself to the walk. You have to actually do the thing that you were called to do. Dr. Ron Paul did that to the best of his ability. He is still with us, and God willing, it will be for a long time, but who knows, right? To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt's Take. Peace.